Hello and welcome in.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome to the show. You know, guys, this is episode 250 of Guerrilla Sports Off Ice. And even 250 episodes later, sometimes you just got some technical difficulties you got to deal with right off the bat. But hey, we're live, we're going. We are here at Ball Arena. Those are the Dallas Stars on the ice right behind us. That'll be who the Avs are playing tomorrow, Meghan. Mikko Rantanen is out on the ice as well. So we're going to unpack last night's game, talk a little bit about just what this opening week has been like, and then preview a little bit of tomorrow. Might be a little bit of a shorter episode as we are going to be getting into the locker room to talk to Mikko Rantanen here in just a little bit as they wrap up practice, Meghan. But we just got done talking to the Avs, Jared Bednar. We were in the locker room as I'm looking to get a retweet on this. Sorry about that.
That's all right. I still need to do mine.
Yeah. Avs off to a 2-0 start, Meghan. Didn't love a lot of their details last night. They didn't love a lot of their details last night, but it's always better to learn a lesson in a win than in a loss.
Yeah, and we talked about this on our post-game hit a little bit, but I think that the learning that's happening is in-game and then in between games, right? Just the stark improvement of the third line, one game into the next. And so I think that top six in general is really trying to figure things out right now. Obviously, it's showing on the power play what they're trying to work through, try some new things. And so I think some of the uncharacteristic mistakes that they were making against Utah that they weren't making against LA is because they're in search of some offensive chemistry that they're still building and wanting to be a little creative with it and turning over pucks at times. So I think that the puck management will settle down as they get some more reps and playing together. I think they're just having some fun. There was maybe some excitement that got the best of them in that Utah game. So I'm certainly not worried. These are champagne problems.
Yeah.
Like, this is such a solid team. Wedgewood's playing out of his mind right now. It's kind of the perfect landscape for them to be experimenting a little bit with that offensive flourish and creativity that they're trying to discover right now.
Yeah, it's so funny because you are seeing especially in that first game in LA, like they really, for 47 minutes of that game, the last 47 minutes of that game, they looked so good. They just really controlled play, kind of took it to LA. And even last night, like you see the little spurts of, this has a potential to be a pretty special group. But yeah, still just early in the season. And like you said, experimenting with some things, trying different things out. Not necessarily they're trying different line combinations, but you're seeing groups like the Ross Colton, Jack Drury, Victor Olofsson group, trying to find their stride a bit. All three of those guys talked about that last night. Trying to find that chemistry, trying to find that consistency. So wow, last night definitely wasn't perfect. Really wasn't even pretty at times. One, it's understandable. Still getting up to speed. And two, in my opinion, you got to be encouraged by the flashes that you're seeing.
Yeah, and so another example of the changes game to game. They don't have a great start against LA. I think they have a much stronger first period against Utah. And so as they're continuing to work out the kinks, experiencing some growing pains, heaven forbid a girl take chances and be a little brave. And so I think that they're just trying a little too much inside the top 6 against Utah. And that's where a lot of mistakes were getting made that were leading to opportunities Utah was able to attempt to capitalize on. And so I think that's going to be part of the growing pains process. But I think you come out the other side of that with highly skilled offensive players that are utilizing their creativity for good and in an effective way. And so I think that's what's going to come out of all of these growing pains that we're seeing early in the season.
Yeah. Let's dive into a couple specifics here. And I'm not, I just want to make sure that we continue talking about him because it is becoming a really interesting storyline. Gavin Brindley maybe had the first game last night where he really wasn't super noticeable, but again, that was not exclusive to Gavin Brindley last night. But I did turn to you at one point and make the comment. I said, he reminds me a little bit of like Zach Parise, just in that, kind of pesky, undersized, but, heavy on the forecheck, finishing his hits, always seems to be in your hip pocket. I think we are inevitably heading towards a Bardakov debut. I don't know if that necessarily comes at the expense of a Gavin Brindley game or whatever, but like I said, last night was probably the first night he wasn't ultra noticeable, but I'm not saying that was just a Gavin Brindley problem.
No, and I still think he's noticeable. Like, it's one of those things where across the board, a lot of people aren't doing the right thing outside of the third line that I think really figured that out. And so what I'm seeing in each shift from Gavin Brindley, though, is a consistent intention, work ethic behind what he's doing. He's constantly moving his feet and trying to be aggressively involved in whatever is happening. And it's in every zone. Like we talked about after some of those preseason games with him, he's really committed to the defensive details in his coverage in his own end. And so he's trying to aggressively pull up on guys, take away lanes, utilizing his skating. And so I still see that. I think that, you also see, though, where this is a young player, that some of the things that have worked for him through this point in his career will not always work. And he's very crafty at finding other ways to get up ice and transition when there is a player in his path. And it doesn't always work. Sometimes he is muscled off the top. But I think that it was still another strong game. So Bardakov does need to get in games, and I'm sure Parker Kelly would prefer to be back on the wall. So I don't think if we see Brindley sit out a game coming up here soon, it's a reflection of what he's done through 2 games, because I think his body of work through those 2 has been very good and intriguing, because sometimes, too, he's a little bit of a spark when the offense isn't going. Like, I was thinking about how, especially kind of through 2 periods after the Utah game, they were struggling in that second period to get any pucks on net. And some of that was a credit to Utah managing their lanes well. I just don't think the Avs were shooting the puck enough either. And so I think what I like about Brindley is he does have that willingness to try and find offense maybe where it isn't in a game and inject it into the game.
Well, so we talked so much in the run-up to the start of the regular season about, can Gavin Brindley be a fourth-line guy? Can he play it? And to your point, I think he's actually in a not even in a weird way. He's been an energy guy.
Yes.
And that's what you want out of your fourth lines. Again, is he out there dropping guys in neutral, in the neutral zone? No, but he's going out there, he's generating energy. He's getting puck touches. And again, they're not, hemming teams in the zone, for a minute every time he's out there, but that's also not what you're asking for out of that line. So I just wanted to call that out where he said he's been a little bit of a spark. I think he's actually exceeded my expectations in terms of, can you go out and be that energy line role player? I think he's done that in spades. But again, do just want to make sure that we call out Zakar Bardakov has a KHL out clause in his contract. You don't want that guy sitting for too long, because he can just say, never mind, I'm going back home.
Yeah.
Not that we've heard that that's a threat right now or anything like that, but when that's built into a player's contract, you want to make sure that they are getting those reps, see what you've got in him in general. But yeah, make sure not to get too cute with that ever looming threat that they could just leave.
Yeah. And I think even looking at practice today here at Ball Arena, you're seeing Bardakov in the drills at center. I think they're gearing up for that to happen here soon. And we were talking about how we were a little bit surprised at first to see that it was Bardakov coming out, Kelly being moved to the middle instead of Kiviranta.
Yep.
And I think there's a couple of things to consider there. Is just one, with respect to Kivi as a veteran player on this team. You have to look at the penalty kill too, and you're down Logan O'Connor as it is. You have Parker Kelly then heading up a lot of what that unit is trying to do. Bardakov and Brindley together are not trusted enough to be regulars on the kill.
Yep.
Even though Bardakov has gotten more reps on the kill throughout preseason, it's just not trusted enough. So they just needed at least Kivi to be represented in the lineup so that kill is a little bit more complete. So at the end of the day, I think this makes a lot of sense. And because Brindley is waiver exempt, can be sent to the Eagles, I think it was rewarding for a really strong camp up front.
Yep.
So it's not just making opening night roster, it's playing the home opener here in front of the fans. It's a really nice reward. And I also don't think it's a demerit of Bardakov. I think you know, his reward will be longevity. It will be getting to stay up with the team and get in more regular reps once Brindley's time comes to an end.
Because to your point, I just want to make sure that I get this in here, because like you said, when that doesn't happen, it's not going to be an indictment on Gavin Brindley. I from a development standpoint, I want to see him go down and dominate the AHL, even if it's for a weekend series. Then you say, no, we got to have this guy back up.
Right.
Because of the struggles that we saw Brindley have last year in his first pro season in the American Hockey League. Like, hey, he's been great through camp. He was rewarded with a spot, like you said, not just the season opener, but the home opener as well. At some point here, send him down. You don't have to put him through waivers. Get Bardakov in some games and go see Gavin Brindley just punk everyone in the AHL and go, yep, we knew it. This guy was just dropping stuff. This guy is he's moved on. He's graduated beyond this. We need him with the NHL group.
Right.
I want to see that. And I just want to see that he can handle that adversity of being set down and continue to elevate his game.
Yeah, because he brings something different than Kiviranta, just as an example, but Bardakov as well.
Yep.
And so if they're finding that bottom six needs to be injected with a little bit offensive skill, that's Gavin Brindley. And so they have that in their back pocket to deploy at any given moment as needed. And it will probably be needed at points in the season, especially if injuries crop up. His toolkit, thankfully for him, is unique to him too. It's different from what is represented in the bottom six right now, but I think he's demonstrated, like you mentioned, that he can hang in a bottom six role. I think if he continues to build out the penalty kill too with the Eagles, which is a great opportunity for him to get tons of ice time just across the board, right? Both special teams, that would be the thing too that I think allows for him to stick on an NHL roster next year.
Yep. Yeah. No, I'm with you. All right. Let's. I kind of just want to. We don't really have a super formal rundown for today's show, and I just kind of want to run through what we've thought of each unit here through two games.
Yeah.
Because we haven't seen a ton of blending so far. It's actually been pretty consistent through the first two games of the season. And again, last night it's hard to judge a ton on last night because they didn't love their game. They've said that. Jared Bednar reiterated that today. But Martin Necas now with 2 goals through 2 games. Nathan MacKinnon gets in the goal column last night. He's already been wildly productive through the first 2 games. Arturi Lehkonen has a goal himself, as well as a couple other points. We talked to Martin Necas, I believe it was yesterday. He said, that's the kind of guy I love to play with.
Right.
That top unit, don't know how much there's to say. They've looked pretty good through the first 2 games, all things considered.
I think so too, right? Like there's some giveaways in the Utah game, but I think it's because they're trying new things. They're trying to find another on the ice in ways that are different from what they ordinarily would do, right? Like it's not just getting the puck to Makar at the point, and they're trying to rotate and find each other through different seams that are a little harder to defend against. And sometimes it doesn't work, and that's okay. I've liked what I've seen out of Necas because I think the message too, like he was perhaps overcomplicating what he wanted to do in the playoffs. And I think there's still traits of that, but I think he's also settling in to how to play Colorado Avalanche hockey. And you don't want Martin Necas to abandon what has brought him success as of this last year, right? Like he comes in on a career high in points. And so I think on the whole, like, are we talking the top 6 or the power play?
Well, I was mostly talking about that top line for right now.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I really like what I've seen. And I think that's why too, like similarly, I like what I've seen out of Landeskog, Nelson, and
Yep,
Chushkin
that's where I was going
together.
next. Let's just go there. Yeah.
There's no need to really disband and see other looks because right now those are both really complementary.
Yep.
And I think in seeing a little bit of Landeskog up with that second line in the playoffs now, like they maybe emerged, the possession numbers not as strong in the Utah game, but incredibly strong in the LA game. I'm excited to see them continue working together. And I want to shout out Brock Nelson because I think he's maybe people see the perennial 30 goal scorer on, elite prospects, whichever, what is it, Hockey DB, other people use that, whichever one you use. And they're wondering where the 30 goals are in 2 games. And it's hard to produce, 30 goals in 2 games.
Yep.
And so I'm still so excited about what Brock Nelson will be able to add. I think there's other aspects of his game beyond the offense that I've seen through 2 games. I've seen through some of his work last year, and what he brings on the penalty kill a little bit, and what he brings in just winning draws in crucial moments. And he's a smart defensive player with his stick positionally. I think that I've seen that through a couple games that I just continue to like his fit. I'm excited by it.
I love the word you use, complementary, because that's exactly how I feel about one. I feel like the top 2 lines complement each other in that they give you something different. And 2, I really like the makeup of each line in that they are complementary to, within their line, within their structure. And I think, and I know this is something that it's hard for fans, it's hard for media. Patience. I think that second line, we saw it by the end of that first round last year, that they were really starting to become a problem for Dallas in terms of possession and driving play. And, I remember us all saying, like, man, if the Avs get out of this first round, like, if that line continues to progress, that could become a real problem for other teams. And I think you're seeing the shades of that, and they're reacclimating to each other. And I want to see Jared Bednar leave both of those top 2 lines, really the top 3 lines.
Let him cook.
Right. Let him cook a bit here. Let him cook. Let him see where the everything starts to fall. And yeah, if you get 2-3 weeks in and it's like, yeah, this isn't working, they're not producing, whatever, cool. Change it up. But I really like the way that second unit in particular looks. We've gotten various looks at the, MacKinnon, Necas, MacKinnon, going back to when Mikko was here, that was a line that they ran, in place of Necas. So like we know a little bit of what that looks like and why it works. The second line in particular, I think, has a chance to be the Avs' ultimate secret weapon, not only throughout the season, but on a deep run. But along with that, like I said, I include the third line as well. I want to see that line stay together. And what a play from that group last night to kick things off.
If they'd given up on the Drury line after the LA game, we would not have gotten the beautiful rush goal from Ross Colton in the Utah game. And so I think when you look at like the characters represented on each line, I think of Arturi Lehkonen kind of like honey badger puck hound with a lot of skill, great vision. Nathan MacKinnon requires no explanation. Martin Necas, his speed, in what he offers matches Nathan MacKinnon in terms of zone entries. I think his vision's very high skill, but it's the willingness to shoot the puck more that I think is already immediately rewarding him. And you see it clicking for him too. And so that top line works super well. What I like about the second line with Landeskog on it is he represents a little bit of that edge, different from what Arturi Lehkonen is, but still like a net front presence and just a hassle to play against, and still, right? And Brock Nelson, I think, is just very versatile and complementary around high skill players. And then Chushkin's the guy. You've shouted him out before as kind of the dark horse, like the guy to keep an eye out for this year. And I think that's worth shouting out right now too, because looking at him in just a little bit of preseason, some of these practices through this point, he looks like a bat out of hell on the ice. And so on the ice, he's a freight train. But like in terms of what I think he's going to be this season, I think it's more like a bullet train. Like his arrival might be a bit more silent, but it's going to be a very crashing impact once it all comes together.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm anticipating for Chushkin is I think that, he's having just maybe a quiet start here, but once he arrives and settles into these regular games, I don't think it's going to be quiet.
Yeah, no, and I think you can look again. There have been, for as much as I was just I was saying off the top, like there's definitely been spurts in both games where you really like there have been spurts. The first 10 minutes of that first game, me and Evan Rawle, Denver Gazette, were looking at each other like, yeah, this feels like the first game coming out of preseason. It feels a little sloppy. So that's why I'm saying, like, honestly, lines 1 through 3 for the Avalanche, I want to see a little bit of patience, and let's just let these simmer a bit. I think that fourth line, as we were discussing a minute ago, your hand is going to be forced a little bit into at least trying something with Bardakov. Logan O'Connor will make his way back, you hope, in the not-too-distant future. So that line is destined for a little bit of a shakeup one way or the other, the fourth line. But I want to see these top 3 lines simmer a little bit here to see what we can get out of them for the reason that you were just laying out. Like, you see it, you understand why they're together, you're seeing the flashes of it. Let them settle in and see if you can't find that 1 through 3 chemistry.
Yeah, because then looking at the third line, I'm really excited. I think Victor Olofsson has had like a slow coming out process here in getting acclimated with the team. Some of those preseason games, I think people were concerned about the defensive details and just the engagement away from the puck. And I think seeing him get rewarded. So on this play for the Ross Colton goal against Utah, it's Ross Colton battling for a puck in the neutral zone, and Victor Olofsson clocks this and pulls up a little bit to help just get his stick in on this battle and ultimately win this puck in the neutral zone. That's how Gerard gets it angled up ice to start this play. And it was just that quick instinct from Olofsson to get involved in that battle along the wall. And so I think that there's absolutely this capability for Olofsson to really fit that style of play, because that's kind of the way that Ross Colton would like to play. Jack Drury has a lot of that instinct as well. I think Victor Olofsson can hang. I think it's just taking a little bit of what he did last year with Vegas, applying it here, and not forgetting the high skill offensive instinct that he has too in waiting for Nate Schmidt to fully commit to that block before lifting that puck across the ice to Jack Drury.
Unbelievable sauce pass. But I also think, Megan, that I think people have gone a little overboard on how Victor Olofsson has looked here to start. Like, he's been fine.
I also agree with that.
He's been fine.
I don't think there have been these glaring errors where it's like, oh, he can't hang.
Right.
He seems very committed to what he's doing. I use the word engagement. I would not describe him as disengaged.
No, I wouldn't either. And again, new team, new system. Give him a sec. Give him a sec to settle in here. And here's what I actually like about him. I want to see him, buy into that identity of the Ross Colton, Jack Drury. But as Ross pointed out to us last night, Megan, like, it's okay that Victor Olofsson's something a little bit different than what him and Jack Drury are. Like,
it needs to be represented.
Right. How much have we talked this summer? You talked this summer about getting some more kind of high skill, cool guy, ability to finish a little bit on that line with Ross Colton, Jack Drury. That's what they got. And again, would it have been great to see Victor Olofsson come out and score 5 goals in the preseason? Yeah, that would have been sweet. Show that he's got that touch. He's got a track record that says he's got that touch. That's a really high skill play that he makes last night on the heels of, like you said, a nice board battle and a nice, battle to help his team win a puck. I think Victor Olofsson's been fine. I'm anxious to see how he continues to settle in. I just wanted to call that out because I've seen a lot of chatter on Twitter, social media in general. People be like, oh, Victor Olofsson, what the hell? He's been fine.
I think he's been fine. I was thinking about this earlier too. Like, it's hard to measure his defensive game through a Buffalo system. And so I just think there's context there that perhaps Buffalo fans can better speak to. Like, maybe there's some very legitimate frustrations there as well. But I'm going to look more closely at his last year with Vegas and what I've seen through this point. I really think he's capable of playing AF-style hockey. I think playing with a high-energy guy like Ross Colton really would complement him. And I just love, too, Jack Drury's ability to hang with that play, too, and that one-touch pass, finding Colton in the slot. That quick instinct, just not dusting the puck off a little bit too much and second-guessing himself if Ross Colton's there or not, finding him perfectly in that split second, it makes all the difference. So I'm excited for those 3 to continue working together.
He knew what he wanted to do with that puck before it even got to him. And again, that's the high skill type of stuff.
We're so ADHD, right?
Well, I'm just trying to keep an eye on him to make sure he doesn't get off, because we are here to talk to Mikko as well today. So they're starting to wrap up practice. So no, I apologize. I just wanted to make sure.
Well, now that I'm watching, it's hard to look away.
I know. There's Mikko right there. Meghan, anything else that like really jumps out to you want to make sure we get to about these first couple games?
Yes. One more thing.
What do you got?
Scott Wedgewood. So
Yes.
I've seen a lot of conversation around what this means for Mackenzie Blackwood. Like, does Mackenzie Blackwood have to come in and kind of beat Wedgewood out of the starters net? And I'm laughing. I don't think it's a silly thing to talk about, though, because Wedgewood has just been that good. And I love seeing him get these two games start to finish and just play a rock solid game. Because, you know, he's played rock solid games for the Avs too, but he's come in relief oftentimes as well. And so I love to see that because it's a contract year for him, right? Like, I love to see him have this body of work. I think it's great for him individually. And it's great for the Avs to build this kind of trust early so that if conflict ever struck, they've got a really trusted guy in Scott Wedgewood. It's a great problem to have. Another champagne problem.
I had someone last night ask me, they were like, is Scott Wedgewood the starter? And I said, no, it's Mackenzie. But this is great.
Right.
If you're the Avs, this is great. And I think that's what people need to keep in mind here. Like, the Avs are not, Gary Bednar is not looking for a goaltender controversy. He's not Deion Sanders. He's not looking to create problems at controversial positions. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Deion Sanders at the beginning of the season, they have like kind of a like two quarterback thing.
Yeah,
and then he just introduced a third quarterback who went and played really well. Yeah. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, Jared Bednar, I don't think is trying to do that and like create problems for himself. Look, if Scott Wedgewood continues to play this way, all that means for the Avs is they've got two great options. And if at any point Mackenzie Blackwood isn't feeling well, isn't playing well, is injured, whatever, you can feel confident playing Scott Wedgewood 30 games this season, 25, 30, 35
Rest
games.
Before Olympics.
Right.
Mackenzie Blackwood obviously should be there.
But no, I still think Mackenzie Blackwood will come back. He's the number one. Scott Wedgewood, I think, understands that role, and that's what makes him such a valuable player to this organization. But as of right now, all it is just good stuff for the Avs.
Yeah.
Hey, we've got a really capable, confident backup that we feel good about.
Yeah, that did everything he needed to get ready for this moment too.
Yep.
And I think it says a lot about his work ethic.
I
So
agree 100%.
it's been awesome.
I talked to my mom last night after the game, and she goes, "Oh, that Scott Wedgewood just seems so awesome. They had him on the broadcast after, and he just seems so down to earth." I said, "Mom, you have no idea." I said, "He might be my favorite person I've ever covered."
It was so cute. The Dallas broadcast talked about him. They're like, "Man, we really miss that guy."
He's awesome. He's unlike any other pro athlete I've ever met. He was actually giving me a hard time today because I didn't take any pictures of his new setup on the ice. So I'll have to have that one coming soon. This will be a shorter pod, Meghan. Want to make sure that we can get in there and chat with Nico a bit. You got anything else for today? You've got a big night tonight.
Guys.
If you're heading up to Blue Arena, look for Meghan Angley live in arena all night long. We'll have our guy Dan up there with her as well. Crown Lounge winner has been selected. I believe they've been contacted.
Yes, and they confirmed their tickets. So
nice. Okay, perfect.
That was awesome. Thank you guys so much for entering. The Eagles have already talked to us about other giveaway opportunities that we're going to do throughout the year. So don't be discouraged if you didn't get the Crown Lounge.
Yeah.
Just keep tuning in. There's going to be more stuff coming.
Well, and the support we've seen for that show pretty immediately has been awesome. So it's just going to keep getting better and better. So like I said, we're going to go talk to Miko, and then, I mean, you guys are probably going to have to start up there, not like right away,
Pretty
but
soon,
relatively soon.
It's sold out.
I imagine.
Big
It's
time.
going to be packed up there. You're going to want to be in the building to see Keaton Middleton. And I'm being 100% serious. Do you know, what is she talking about? I didn't see. We just got a text about, do you know this trend?
We're just looking a little fuzzy.
Oh, geez. Our pet peeves, I have the worst Wi-Fi. All right, that's going to do it. If we're a little fuzzy, we're going to get out of here, head on down to the locker room. That'll do it for today. Like I said, plenty of content coming from Blue Arena tonight, and then we'll have a ton of stuff coming your guys' way tomorrow. Avs and Eagles going tomorrow. Meghan, we're in full swing. It's fully going. For Meghan and Dan, I'm Jesse Montano. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll talk to you later.
Bye.
See ya.